Hi, I'm Ross Enamait from RossTraining.com. What I'm going to do in this video is talk about how rubber mulch can be used to fill a sandbag. Obviously, if you use rubber mulch, the sandbag isn't really a sandbag. Sandbag becomes more of a descriptive term, meaning a bag such as one of these that is filled with some type of weighted material. More common fillers for bags are obviously sand. And after sand, a lot of times you'll see bags filled with pea gravel and wood pellets. Now, I have 11 sandbags here in this gym, and I have bags filled with each of those materials. Okay, I've got bags with sand, wood pellets, pea gravel, and then some with rubber mulch. Okay, so for this particular video, I'll focus on the rubber mulch. Okay, now in saying that though, it's worth pointing out that I'm not here to suggest that rubber mulch is somehow superior to the other types of materials. There are pros and cons to just about all of them. Rubber mulch just happens to be one of the filling materials that isn't as common, which is why I want to talk about it today. Now, before I talk about these three particular bags, in case you're not familiar with what rubber mulch is, okay, something that you'll find in a landscaping section of a hardware store or home improvement store. Okay, it's something that you can see here, something that you would be used to fill a flower bed or some type of garden, okay, as some type of ground cover. It's just recycled rubber. You can see some of the mulch here from this bag, okay? Might be difficult to see, but it's just these small pieces. They're small fragments of rubber, okay? They're probably about the size of a small coin. Some are a bit smaller. This is a material that it's gonna last forever. It's not going to degrade at all. It won't dust. Sometimes if you've filled bags previously with pea gravel or wood pellets, you might notice that it starts to dust, and some of that dust might seep through the seams within your bag. That's something that you're not going to experience with rubber mulch, again, as it is just rubber. It's also something that's not going to be damaged if it gets wet. It's going to virtually last forever. Rubber is going to outlive us all. It's also something that when you do create a bag, you don't need any of the smaller filler bags. A lot of the commercial sandbags that you'll see on the market typically will sell an outer shell, the larger outer bag, and they're also going to sell you some smaller filler bags where you fill the sand. When you're using rubber mulch, that's not necessary. You can just take the mulch and dump it directly into your outer bag. And in terms of why it is not as common, probably the main reason is that it's not as dense a material. 50 pounds of rubber mulch is going to take up a lot more space than 50 pounds of sand or gravel or even the wood pellets. So with these three bags here, you can see that these two bags look similar in terms of size and the materials that are filled inside. But in actuality, these two bags here have more in common. This particular bag here has some rubber mulch in it. It's probably around 35 or 40 pounds. As you can see, not a very heavy bag. Now, this particular bag here is filled with pea gravel. The difference is that this bag weighs 150 pounds. So you can see that 150 pounds of pea gravel doesn't take up much space at all. Okay, there's actually a pretty good amount of space left within this bag. Now this bag to my right has rubber mulch in it. Okay, I'll stand it up just so you can see how large it is. It's obviously much larger than the pea gravel bag, but similar in weight. This bag is also approximately 150 pounds. So in terms of why you might make a bag this large, okay, or possibly work with a smaller bag, there's a couple reasons why it might make sense for you. First, we'll talk about the smaller bag. If you've never lifted a sandbag before, there's a chance that you're not going to need the largest bag in the world. Okay, 75 pounds to 100 pounds might be a good starting point for you. Problem is that a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll go buy a bag such as this. It's a naval sea bag. It's 36 inches long. Now this has 150 pounds as I said. So imagine if you only put 75 pounds of pea gravel in there. Okay, it would only be filled to approximately here. So you can see how much extra empty space would be present within the bag. There would be so much extra space that it would actually become inconvenient to lift the bag. You'd have a small amount of weight and then a huge amount of empty space. Now you don't want the bag to be filled all the way to the top, but as you want to have some opportunity for the materials inside to move back and forth, that is part of the challenge of lifting the bag. But again, you don't want to have so much space that you're dealing with more than half a bag of empty space. So you're going to want to have it somewhere closer to 3/4 full. So if you wanted to have a 75-pound bag or a 70-pound bag, working with pea gravel in a bag like this isn't going to be your best choice. You could, however, fill a bag like this with rubber mulch. Okay, again, this is probably around 35 or 40 pounds. This type of bag here, these 36-inch long naval sea bags, are typically going to top out somewhere around 70 to 75 pounds if you do fill them with rubber mulch. So if that's a weight that you're looking for, that's an ideal filling material. Okay, again, you just dump it directly into the bag, seal off your bag, as you can see here, and you're pretty much good to go. Now in this particular case here, with the larger bag, this can also be useful. It provides a unique challenge because with this particular bag, at such a huge size, you're dealing with this large surface area, it provides a unique challenge. 150 pounds in a bag this large is going to be a lot more difficult for me to lift, okay, for example, throw up to my shoulder, than it would if I was lifting a smaller bag such as this. Now you think of how that might translate towards an athlete. Suppose you're a 150-pound wrestler. You're dealing with another 150-pound opponent. Okay, your opponent's not going to be a little guy who's this tall. Okay? You're going to be dealing with a fairly large body that's standing in front of you. So getting used to dealing with a larger surface area of similar size can be quite useful to you as an athlete. This is not something that I would suggest doing all of your sandbag training with. Okay, certainly not the definitive choice for using sandbags, but it is occasionally useful to get your hands on one of these huge bags and get used to lifting it, controlling it, and literally manhandling it. So again, rubber mulch, if you're looking for something that is extremely large and moderate to fairly heavy, it is a viable option for you. If you have any questions about this or anything else, feel free to shoot me an email as always at ross@rosstraining.com.